If you've been here before, you already know what we're circling, and if this is your first time, let this be enough for now. You are not as conscious as you believe. In the previous descent, we explored the persona, the mask you wear to function in the world, the role you perform to survive, to belong, to be accepted. Not because it's false, but because it's incomplete. And beneath that mask, beneath conscious intention and rational thought, Carl Jung believed there exists a psyche that operates largely outside your control. A psyche with its own memories, its own patterns, its own intelligence. That psyche does not go silent when you stop thinking about it. It waits. And when conscious control loosens, when the body begins to surrender to rest, when vigilance fades, the unconscious steps forward. This is where its voice becomes clear, not in words, not in logic, but in images, in emotions, in experiences that arrive without invitation. Jung understood this as compensation, the psyche's way of restoring balance, when conscious identity becomes too narrow, too rigid, too convinced it is in control. So if you are listening for the first time, know this: what follows is not theory. It is not self-help. It is not interpretation. It is an invitation to listen to the part of the mind that speaks when the ego grows quiet. And if you've been here before, you already know. Once that voice is recognized, it does not stop speaking. This is where the psyche responds. You will dream tonight. Whether you remember them or not, your dreams will come. And in those dreams, something profound will happen. Something that Carl Jung understood, but that modern psychology has largely forgotten. Your dreams will tell you the truth you refuse to hear while awake. This is the principle of dream compensation, and it is one of the most overlooked, most misunderstood, and most practically powerful aspects of Jung's entire body of work. Let's begin by clearing away the rubble of misunderstanding. When most people think of dream interpretation, they think of Freud. They think of dreams as wish fulfillment, disguised desires, repressed urges, sexual symbolism hidden beneath layers of censorship. Jung started there too. He was Freud's chosen heir, after all. But as he worked with thousands of dreams across decades of clinical practice, Jung came to a radically different conclusion. Dreams are not wish fulfillment. Dreams are compensation. This distinction matters more than you might think. It's not just a theoretical disagreement between two dead psychologists. It's the difference between seeing dreams as meaningless static and recognizing them as the psyche's most sophisticated self-regulating mechanism. Freud saw dreams as the ego's enemy, disguising truths that would disturb consciousness. Jung saw dreams as the ego's teacher, revealing truths that consciousness desperately needs but refuses to see. Here's the core insight that gets overlooked. The psyche self-regulates, whether your ego agrees or not. Think of your body for a moment. If you eat too much, your body compensates with nausea, with discomfort, with signals to stop. If you don't sleep enough, your body compensates with exhaustion, with impaired function, with eventual collapse. Your body maintains homeostasis, balance, through constant feedback loops. Jung realized that the psyche works the same way. If your conscious attitude becomes too one-sided, too extreme, too disconnected from the totality of your being, your unconscious compensates. And the primary vehicle for that compensation? Dreams. And here's what makes dream compensation so powerful and so often ignored. Dreams don't flatter you. They don't confirm your self-image. They don't tell you what you want to hear. Dreams expose the lie. If you spend your waking life convinced you're confident and in control, your dreams may show you cowering in fear, running from threats, failing at simple tasks. If you pride yourself on being rational and logical, your dreams may drown you in irrational emotion, surreal chaos, symbolic imagery that defies analysis. If you see yourself as a good person, morally superior, spiritually evolved, your dreams may show you committing acts of violence, betrayal, selfishness. This is not the unconscious being cruel. This is compensation. Your conscious attitude has become too one-sided, and the psyche is attempting to restore balance by showing you what you've excluded, what you've denied, what you've repressed. Jung called dreams the corrective voice of the psyche, and he meant this literally. When your conscious life veers too far in one direction, the unconscious speaks through dreams to pull you back toward center, toward wholeness, toward truth. Let me give you an example from Jung's own case files. A successful businessman came to Jung proud of his rationality, his discipline, his complete control over his emotions. He saw himself as the embodiment of masculine achievement, logical, strong, unemotional. His dreams told a different story. Night after night, he dreamed of being a helpless child, of crying uncontrollably, of being nurtured by feminine figures. His dreams were compensating for the extreme one-sidedness of his conscious attitude, trying to show him the emotional, vulnerable, receptive aspects of himself that he'd completely denied. He ignored the dreams, dismissed them as meaningless, and eventually, his psyche forced the issue through a complete nervous breakdown. The dreams were trying to save him, but he couldn't hear them over the noise of his ego's certainty. So why do we ignore dreams? Why has modern culture relegated them to the status of random neural noise, meaningless firings of a brain in maintenance mode? Because dreams threaten the ego's control. If dreams are real communications from the unconscious, carrying messages that contradict our conscious self-image, then we are not in control. We are not the sole authors of our inner life. We are not the masters of our own psyche. And that is unbearable to the modern ego. So we dismiss dreams. We forget them. We reduce them to chemical processes, to evolutionary remnants, to anything except what Jung knew them to be, the voice of the totality of the psyche, speaking to the narrow fragment of consciousness that thinks it's the whole. Let's get practical. Let's talk about how dream compensation actually works in your life right now. Think about your current conscious attitude. What are you convinced of? What do you pride yourself on? What identity have you built? Now ask, what is the opposite of that? What have you excluded? What have you denied? That's what your dreams will show you. If you're convinced you're independent and self-sufficient, your dreams may show you desperately needing help, being cared for, being dependent. If you see yourself as weak and powerless, your dreams may show you wielding power, being aggressive, being strong. If you think you've dealt with your anger, your dreams may erupt in violence. If you believe you're past a certain relationship, your dreams may bring that person back night after night. This is not random. This is not your brain taking out the trash. This is the psyche's sophisticated attempt to show you what your conscious attitude has excluded, to restore balance, to prevent the one-sidedness that inevitably leads to neurosis. Jung often said that if you want to understand your current psychological state, look at your dreams. Not for hidden meanings, not for symbolic puzzles to decode, but as a mirror showing you exactly what your consciousness is missing. Are your dreams chaotic and overwhelming? Your conscious life is probably too rigid and controlled. Are your dreams boring and mundane? Your conscious life is probably too wild and ungrounded. Are your dreams filled with aggression? You're probably repressing anger in waking life. Are your dreams erotic? You're probably denying your sexuality consciously. The dream doesn't disguise. It reveals. It compensates. It shows you the other side of the coin you've been clutching so tightly in your conscious hand. Here's where Jung's warning becomes urgent. Ignoring dreams is ignoring the psyche's corrective voice, and the psyche will not be ignored forever. When dreams are dismissed, when their compensatory messages are refused, the unconscious doesn't give up. It escalates. The dreams become more intense, more disturbing, more impossible to ignore. And if they're still ignored, the compensation moves from dreams into waking life. The repressed emotion erupts as a symptom. The denied aspect of personality breaks through as a compulsion. The excluded truth manifests as a crisis. Jung saw this pattern constantly. People who ignored their dreams for years, only to have the unconscious force its message through illness, through relationship collapse, through career implosion, through complete psychological breakdown. The dreams were trying to warn them gently, but they wouldn't listen. So the psyche stopped being gentle. So, here's something profound that Jung understood. The compensatory function of dreams operates whether you believe in it or not, whether you remember your dreams or not, whether you pay attention or not. The psyche is self-regulating. It will attempt to maintain balance. The dreams will come. The only question is, will you listen while the message is still gentle? Or will you wait until the psyche has to shout through symptoms, crises, and collapse? Most people wait. Most people dismiss their dreams as meaningless, ignore the corrective voice, double down on their one-sided conscious attitude, and then they wonder why life keeps breaking them. Jung eventually came to see the relationship between consciousness and the unconscious as a dialogue, not a battle, not a hierarchy, but a conversation between two aspects of the same psyche, each with its own perspective, each with its own truth. Consciousness brings focus, intention, rational thought. The unconscious brings depth, instinct, compensatory wisdom. And dreams are where the unconscious speaks its part of the dialogue. When you ignore your dreams, you're essentially having a monologue with yourself, hearing only the conscious ego's voice, mistaking its limited perspective for the whole truth. No wonder life feels so one-dimensional. No wonder you keep hitting the same walls. No wonder the same patterns repeat. You're only listening to half the conversation. So how do you listen? How do you hear the compensatory message of your dreams? Not through dream dictionaries, not through universal symbol systems, not through Freudian reductionism. Jung's method was simpler and more difficult. Ask what your dream is compensating for. Look at your current conscious attitude, your beliefs about yourself, your situation, your life. Then look at your dream and ask, what is this showing me that contradicts my conscious view? If you think you're handling something well and you dream of chaos, the dream is saying you're not handling it as well as you think. If you believe you're over someone and they appear in your dreams, the dream is saying there's unfinished business. If you see yourself as rational and your dreams are wildly irrational, the dream is showing you the emotional, instinctual, non-rational aspects of yourself you've been denying. The dream is not hiding the message. It's stating it clearly. In the language of symbol and image, yes, but clearly nonetheless. You just have to be willing to hear what contradicts your conscious certainty. And that's the real challenge, isn't it? It takes courage to let your dreams correct you, to admit that your conscious attitude might be wrong, might be one-sided, might be leading you toward imbalance and neurosis. The ego hates being corrected. It wants to be right. It wants to be in control. It wants its version of reality to be the only version. But the psyche is larger than the ego. The unconscious sees what consciousness cannot, and the dreams carry messages that the ego desperately needs but doesn't want to hear. This is why Jung said that working with dreams requires humility. You have to be willing to be wrong, willing to be surprised, willing to discover that you are not who you thought you were. Most people aren't willing, so they dismiss their dreams and wonder why their lives never change. Tonight, as you sleep, your dreams will come. They will show you what you've been refusing to see. They will compensate for the one-sidedness of your waking consciousness. They will attempt, as they do every single night, to restore balance to your psyche. You may not remember them. You may dismiss them upon waking. You may insist they mean nothing. But the compensatory function continues regardless. The psyche self-regulates. The dreams speak their truth. And somewhere beneath your conscious awareness, the corrective voice is trying to save you from the consequences of your own one-sidedness. The only question is, will you finally start listening?